Alright, we are in the final stages of getting this K100 build ready to be put over the pits. A few things to do, got a little to-do list here of things remaining. So front brake switch, bleed the front brakes again, so I have got them working, but they are quite spongy and I can still push it through the brakes, so it's going to run through a little bit of the process because I was trying to bleed it the long way, but I've since found a fairly handy technique, probably fairly common knowledge, but yeah, basically you get a syringe, fill it full of brake fluid, and then crack your bleed valve and pump the fluid back through the caliper, up the brake lines, and then you'll see little air bubbles come out. So we'll do that. Currently printing Mark II of the brake switch bracket. So we've got a little micro switch here. This will go in here. And I've just designed a little bracket. It's going to double-sided tape that onto the back side there. Then this little part here will hold this. And then as you press the brake, the switch will come off. Also, have had a bit of a play around with nice little cowling to figure out how to mount that at a later date. But I definitely think that really makes that front end. I think the light needs to come down a little bit, but yeah, it just finishes that off a little bit. Will look nice, I think. Got an 8mm spanner to undo the bleed line, a smaller syringe to suck out the excess when it comes up, and we've got our bigger syringe that we will now put brake fluid into so we can pump back up. So there we go, brake fluid in the big syringe. Now what I'll do is just here on the bleed nipple I've got the rubber boot cable tied on just to create a bit better of a seal. Crack this and then slowly push the fluid through. You can see that fluid coming up, so we just want to suck a bit out so it doesn't overfill. And I'll just pump a little bit through because I don't think there's much air coming through. Little bits of air, only tiny bits, but I don't know if you can see those little bubbles. And I'll just repeat that a couple of times and then do the same for the other side. Alright, so again, I'll fill my big syringe back up, reduce the possibility of air bubbles getting back in there. Got my little rubber boot on there, so I'll just chuck this straight in. Alright, there we go. So that's all reverse bled. I'll see now if there's any difference in stopping power, I guess. Before I could push it through the brakes. Yeah, much better. Very good. That's much better. So, Mark II, Mark I, a few refinements, just with this stem mainly where this switch will mount. I'll chuck him on now. So this should just press on there. So it just sits on there. Idea is to put some double-sided tape behind there just to hold it on there. We get our switch. This will be actuated when the handle's lifted. Sits in behind there. Got a close peg. Not sure if you can hear that. Looks like it'll probably work fairly well. Double-sided tape that onto the bars. Maybe super glue the switch onto there in the actuated position, and then we'll be able to wire it up. Got the wire sitting here. So that's one of the final things to do. The other thing we need to do is calibrate the Speedo. So the magnets are just pressed into here. Speedo pickup is there. So with the motor gadget, we have to go into calibration mode and then use GPS, so use the phone. Then you sit on a constant speed and you tell it how fast you're going. Battery, just 3D printed a little box. Screwed it into the MAF sensor. Probably does need to be not too bad. It's probably just not good in the long term. Probably just needs a little bit of a rod or something at this end just to help. Not going to go anywhere. That's alright. A few wires to clean up here. That's the rear brake switch. This is the button to cycle through the menu of the Motoscope Pro. Alright, it's a pretty horrible day. It's actually been a pretty horrible week here in Perth. So, doing a little bit of garage work, getting it close to booking that inspection in. Got my welder, it's a bit wet, got to close the garage door. Have mounted the mirrors. This is kind of the place where I want to put them. They're currently mounted on the radiator down here. They're in different spots to each other, but they kind of get some good viewing angles. Not ideal, but yeah, I want to keep them off that handlebar area, try and keep that nice and clean if possible. So yeah, got some steel here, just some short lengths, and have got the side stand off. Started sketching a few things up. So the idea being the stand is usually on the left hand side. Have read and have noticed, so you can see here I've got a bit of a rag from where the oil comes out. Obviously if the bike's sitting on this side or leaning on this side, oil ends up in this cylinders in the head. So gonna change the side stand to this side if possible. No center stand. And then yeah, basically the last remaining thing will be to calibrate the Speedo. So yeah, let's get into it and hopefully mount this side stand up. Yeah, let's go.
10737418241. be scared. The trees got your hair. Hands off, Father, we let go. Hands off, Father, we let go. Time is limitless. You are endless. Above us, below. Let go. 10737411824. Ignore me, sell it for 1824. 10737.
Alright, there we are. Well welded up. Still need to do a bit of cleanup. More of a grinder than a welder. Chuck it on. So just using the one spring, as I am finding that with two springs it won't stay in the down position. It'll want to automatically spring up, which is not really ideal. Not a fan of it. Obviously when you lift the bike off, take weight off it, it automatically springs up, which is what the old way did. So yeah, I'll just run it with one spring and we'll see how we go. So there we go. Obviously only one bolt, seems to be holding it fairly well, not too much of an angle. We can adjust that by the type of foot we put on it. But yeah, all in all, fairly happy so far. Once we have this stand fully complete, the last thing to do is just calibrate the speed sensor. That's it. It's pretty exciting times. So here we go. I'm not sold on this design, if you'd call it that, but hey, it's a stand. Still needs a little bit hanging off it to help the foot grab it, but lines up pretty well. Nowhere near the tyre, nowhere near the rear sets, and as long as it functions. There's a bit of a movement there, but that must have been there in the old system as well, because I'm obviously using the same mounting. But yeah, something around about here just to help the foot grab it. Obviously a bit more cleaning up around this foot plate off a little bit. Alright, stands up. We'll get rid of our temporary wooden stand. So yeah, just something there to grab it with, but yeah, that's pretty nice. Please don't rain. It's a bit wet along here. Hopefully, if those clouds hold off, today will be the day that we calibrate the Speedo on the motor gadget for the K100. But for me to properly do that, so you're meant to have a GPS, some way of sitting on 50 kilometers an hour, and it's meant to be for 5 seconds. So I've got my quad lock mount here on my Vulcan. So what I'm gonna do is so I've got a new iPhone 15 Pro that I don't have quad lock case for, so I'm going to get the case for that. Hopefully either get an app or use Google, and it'll be close enough. So normally when I use Google Maps in conjunction with my car, they're usually 1 to 2 kilometers from each other, and usually Google's a little bit on the conservative side, so should be no issues there. Change this quad lock mount over to the K100, hopefully find a nice quiet road somewhere that we can get to 50 kilometers an hour for 5 seconds. And alright, that is step 1 of today's mission complete. So 47 kilometers, it's about 3 kilometers under, or 3 kilometers out, I guess. Okay, so I just did a little road test with a GPS speed app I just downloaded quickly on the Vulcan here. So when I was doing 50 kilometers on the Vulcan, the speed was registered as 47-ish on the app. So yeah, I'll transfer the quad lock over now and aim for about 47 kilometers when I'm on the K100. That was just doing 4 kilometers an hour. Not ideal, but it'll do. We've only got to go a short distance. I was contemplating putting the Vulcan's number plate on here so it didn't look too suspicious, but we'll just wing it. We will ask for forgiveness rather than permission, I think. Alrighty. Have I got everything? What do I need? Need to hope that it starts, and we'll need to get into programming mode. Config. And teach speed. So I'm pretty sure I just hold the button on when I get to 50 kilometers, and that will be for 5 seconds. Alrighty, so can't really see my phone that well, but I can see it enough to get me out of trouble. But what we're looking for is 47 kilometers an hour on the phone, should give us roughly 50 kilometers an hour on the Speedo, and we want that for 5 seconds. I've got the Motoscope Pro ready to go into teach mode. Go 47 kilometers an hour, so that's done. Alright, so that was nice and easy. I did hold the wrong button, I think, or press the button for too long, so I got out of the setup menu, had to get back into it. A little bit hard because I've got the config button for the Motoscope Pro on my accelerator handle, which is accelerator hand side, which is not really ideal, but alright, it didn't take too long, it was nice and easy. We'll just check it on the way home now, comparing it to my phone down this street again. Hopefully we don't come across any police. So yeah, that was fairly straightforward. So I just got Motoscope Pro into the config menu before I took off and got it onto the teach speed function. So I was ready to go, and then so basically it won't go into the teach, it won't start the config until it's sensing at least that you're doing speed, because I tried to do it in the garage earlier, standing still, and it come up with an error. Yeah, it got up to 47 kilometers on my phone, which should have been 50 on here. And then yeah, just held, so already on that menu, and then held the config button in, ready to go. And then yeah, you've seen the little bar go up, and yeah, I don't even think it took 5 seconds. So it says 5 seconds, but I wasn't really concentrating on that too much. Alright, so there you have it. Speed sensor set up, configured. It's probably the longest the bike has run on the road since I have rebuilt it. Next step is to call the mechanic and see if they would like to do an inspection on this, hopefully, and then get that scheduled in. So yeah, thanks for joining us on episode 10. Hopefully episode 11 will see us loading this into here and taking it to the mechanic. Stay tuned, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Yeah, thanks again.